Some parents are furious after reports that touching private parts and self-stimulation will be taught to children as young as 6 under a new UK schools programme called All About Me.
Now, lots of people like to tickle or stroke themselves as it might feel nice. This is really very normal. However, some people may get cross or say that it is dirty, especially when you touch your own privates. It is something we should only do when we are alone, perhaps in the bath or shower or in bed, a bit like picking your nose. It's certainly not polite to do in class when everyone is watching.
The sexualization of our children is just totally inappropriate. They're calling it self-touching and they won't use the term masturbation, but when you read it, that's exactly what they're talking about.
It looks like Warwickshire has paid more attention to a controversial sex education consultancy than to what parents understand to be in the best interests of their children.
These classes go way beyond the guidance the government is producing and are effectively sexualizing very young children.
However, one of the people behind that scheme has hit back, insisting kids of all ages touch themselves and that this will teach them to do it appropriately and safely. The programme is for children aged from 6 to 10 as part of sex and relationship classes. The scheme will first be rolled out at more than 240 schools in Warwickshire County in central England. The goal of the All About Me programme is to teach topics such as personal identity, the body and emotions. It's just the latest controversy, though, over the teaching of young children in the UK. This year, parents removed more than 600 students from a Birmingham primary school over LGBT lessons. Now, the move came after protests by the parents in the predominantly Muslim neighbourhood. In response to those rallies, the school pulled the classes. Let's bring in two guests now. Human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell and activist Shakil Afsar. Good evening to you both and welcome to the programme. Peter, first to you. We're talking about self-stimulation discussion with 6-year-olds. First of all, just tell us whether you think this is a good idea or not, but also, are we stealing innocence from children that young?
Well, first of all, let me say that unlike most people, I've actually read the All About Me programme in full. And I know that it was drawn up in consultation with parents, teachers and pupils to answer the questions that young people often ask their teachers. The purpose is to safeguard the health and welfare of young people. The issues that you have raised are a tiny, tiny fragment, but they are about ensuring that young people do not inappropriately touch themselves or others when it's unwanted or when it's in public. And it's quite right that young people should be taught that it's not appropriate to walk around the street naked or to touch their private parts in class in front of other children. But the main aspect of this programme is not about these issues at all. It is to teach about love and relationships. It teaches young people that some of them will live with a mum and dad, some will live with single parents, some will live with extended families with perhaps grandparents or aunts or uncles, and some will live with same-sex families. It also teaches young people about the changes their bodies will undertake during puberty, so that young people are not anxious when they start developing pubic hair, or in the case of girls, they'll not be panicked when they start to menstruate. And if you love children and care about them, I think you'd want your child to know about those issues. It also, of course, talks about the importance of respecting other people's feelings. So not touching them in any way that they feel uncomfortable with. And the purpose of this is to ensure that young people are aware of issues like child sexual abuse. So if they are being abused, they will know it's wrong and they will come forward and report the abusers. Again, every parent would want their child to know when things are inappropriate, when people, whether they're young people or teachers or other adults, are doing things to them, their body of a sexual nature which is not right and not appropriate. That is a very effective way to counter child sexual abuse, and I applaud the schools who are adopting this programme because I know from speaking to parents it's in the interest of the children and most parents want it.
Okay, I can see, Shakil, you're shaking your head there. Peter's outlined what he sees an awful lot of positives in this scheme. Give us your take.
Look, there may be an awful lot of positives, but to be honest with you, with the people I've spoken to, with the MPs that I've spoken to, with the people from the Christian, Muslim, and Jewish community, basically they want to teach 6-year-old children how to masturbate. And what this
that is not true. You're a liar.
And
you're a liar.
Points. With all due respect, sir, with all due respect, I don't know what your agenda is. You actually come into the category of middle-aged men who are actually the majority of the UK paedophiles in this country. And I cannot understand what your agenda is, sir, to be honest with you, because parents, and I've spoken to many parents from the minute I've read this report, it's absolute nonsense. I think that the Department for Education has got this completely wrong, and I feel that the LGBT uproar that happened in Birmingham is only the start. Do you think any parent in their right mind would appreciate, never mind people of faith, a 6-year-old daughter or 6-year-old son coming home and teaching their mother and father how to masturbate? It's absolute nonsense, and I am all for some of the points against child abuse that they should be tackled, but that does not mean we start to rip away a child's innocence. You know, it's not acceptable. Children must be children, and we must tackle certain issues, but not infringing on, most of all, parental rights. And with all due respect, sir, I do not accept what you are saying in regards to you have consulted majority of the parents, because there will be an uproar. And I can tell you, before the anchor just quoted that it was a protest in a Muslim majority area, these protests will happen up and down the UK, because it is not acceptable. It is absolutely not acceptable. And I, for one, cannot understand what is your agenda? What is your real agenda? Why would you want to teach a 6-year-old how to masturbate? You know, children innocently will touch themselves, and certain places will feel pleasurable, but you're basically defining it to them. You know, when a child does that innocently, it's absolutely fine. The same way when a child picks his bone, a mother will tell him, or the father will tell him, look, this is not inappropriate, get a tissue or go on a side. And what you're basically doing is absolutely inappropriate, and I feel you are sexualizing our children, sir, to be quite honest with you.
Okay, at this point, Shaquille, I just want to say, please be very careful with your language. You came dangerously close there to kind of equating the LGBT community with paedophilia. I'm sure it wasn't what you intended, but just please be careful.
No,
Peter,
I'm not saying, yeah.
Yeah, Peter, you've been very patient there.
Just before you finish, I'm not saying that the LGBT community are a loving community. I'm saying this particular gentleman actually comes in the category of a European English middle-aged man who fits the category. And what is his agenda? LGBT people in Birmingham are absolutely fine, even though they might disagree on certain points that I believe in. I still love everyone equally. I have never questioned the rights or wrongs of homosexuality. For me, this is about parental rights, and parents do not want their children to be...
Okay, you clarified that. I appreciate that, Shaquille. You clarified that. Thank you. Peter, you've been very patient, and just give you a chance to respond to what you've heard.
Well, of course, people are up in arms because people like Shaquille misrepresent what this programme is about. And the Sun and Mail have also misrepresented this programme, which is why parents are unnecessarily anxious. The classes are not about sex.
What is it about?
They're not about encouraging masturbation.
Yes or no?
Will you please shut up and let someone speak? Will you please show a bit of politeness, you rude young man?
With all due respect, I have to disagree. And this
Will you please keep quiet and let me speak?
Shaquille, please.
This shows you the level of intolerance.
Shaquille, you made a point. Please,
Okay,
just let Peter respond and give his
Yeah.
take on this.
Yes. Go ahead, sir.
You can see, the viewers can see the kind of intolerance this man represents.
Go ahead, sir.
I listened to him quietly and politely. I asked that the same respect and courtesy be shown to me. As I said, I hope the Sun and the Mail newspaper, which have stirred up this controversy by misrepresenting the programme, will be taken to the press watchdog and fined very, very heavily, because they are stirring up unnecessary anxiety and concerns among parents where there is no need. I want to repeat, these programmes in these schools do not encourage, advocate or promote masturbation in any way whatsoever. I've made it really clear, I think, in my introduction.
Okay, let's bring it back to Shaquille, if I may, Peter. Shaquille, you expressed, as I understood it, you're worried about the innocence of children. I mean, surely people would agree the internet has done a pretty extensive job of destroying children's innocence these days. Is it not better that they're taught in a controlled environment by responsible adults?
Look, I'm a father myself, and when you say the internet destroys, it's parental rights. You know, a parent should administer what their child is watching on the internet. My daughters and my children get allocated time, which I watch over them at such young ages. Why would we, our children are not exposed to that, my children are not exposed to that information, and the community I come from, our children are carefully monitored. We take out the time to nurture our children, and we inform them of everything. And with regards to child abuse, you know, there are certain initiatives where you have, you know, the pants rule, where children are taught that there's certain clothing that shouldn't be touched by anybody other than, you know, their guardian or like that. But this particular way of teaching and normalizing masturbation at such an age appropriateness of 6 years old is not acceptable. You know, parents feel that that is not an acceptable age when children are, you know, should be living a life of innocence and, being allowed to live that.
Can we bring Peter back in, please? I do apologise, Shakil. I just want to give him a fair say as well. Peter, there are Christian groups, there are Muslim groups, many different religious areas where people object to it. They feel it goes against what they're trying to instill into their children themselves at home. Do you have some sympathy for their respective thoughts on this?
Of course, there are differing views, but we know from surveys that the vast majority of parents want their children to be taught about the facts of life, and they want to be protected from sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies and abortions, and particularly from child sexual abuse. So these lessons are to teach young people about what is appropriate touching and what is inappropriate touching. And it says very clearly that it's your body, it's your right to say no, to stop people from doing anything to your body that you don't want. And if they continue to do that, or they have done it, you should report it to your teacher and to your parents.
No, I have to disagree. It's not only that.
Most parents, will you keep quiet, you rude young man?
They want to do it if it feels good. So I'm just trying to get your point in, because in the program it does actually teach.
Can you let me finish? You are incredibly rude.
You know, it's not just
you are incredibly rude.
I'm not incredibly rude. I find your argument incredibly.
You've got no sense of tolerance.
Peter,
Listen, you're a bigot.
We've only got about 15 seconds left, so I just want to let you have the final say.
Shakil is a liar. He is misrepresenting this program. He should be ashamed of himself.
No.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid
you say you have some sort of hidden
now.
agenda, I'm sorry to say.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Many thanks, both of you. Human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell, activist Shakil Afsar. Thank you both.
Thank you.